Yeah. Well, now something interesting has happened. Something really interesting has happened. One thing you may notice is that we keep wanting to raise it, which is why that happened. So maybe the whole thing could be higher to begin with, and then we wouldn't be cranking it like that. Or,
Thank you. My question is that there is some confusion going on, and I would really like to have some clarity on what exactly is mine and what is not. And I recognize that you had mentioned that you had felt another individual's kind of expressions, and you were able to feel what she was feeling. And I lack the clarity when I'm having interactions with other people of what exactly is mine and what exactly is another person's. I've been on this journey where I'm letting...
in the sense of what? In other words, which marbles are mine and which marbles are theirs?
Correct, because I feel like I pick up...
Well, it's always mutual. When you rendezvous with someone, it's always mutual, equally shared by the co-creators involved.
So whenever there's something undesirable being expressed by another person about, say, myself or even themselves, how do I know if it's my experience as well and not just something that they are expressing?
Well, it's usually
themselves?
mutual. It's usually something that you're feeling and they're also feeling, and that's why you're having the conversation. And otherwise, here, let's step back a little bit and work this from the outside in, and then we'll work from the inside out if you still have more questions about it.
Please, thank you.
But it's like this. So when you observe something, you're observing it from your existing bag of marbles. Your perception is what you've practiced it to be. So this is time for another bumper sticker statement. You've practiced it into being. You've practiced it into being. What I feel is what I feel, and what I feel is what I get. In other words, you're the one who's making it real. Now, how did you make it real? You observed it and practiced it and observed it and practiced it and observed it and practiced it. Nothing's going to come to you that you haven't offered quite substantial vibration about. So the question isn't, is that subject right or wrong? Or is that subject mine or theirs? The subject is, when I'm focused upon it, does it feel good or not? And if it feels good, then it really is yours because your inner being is in on it, and it's something that has a lot of momentum. So that's the way we would like to answer this question to begin with, is that if it feels good, own it. And if it doesn't feel good, your inner being isn't owning it, and you're trying to, but you're not getting away with it because you can feel that it doesn't feel good. That's one way of looking at this. Yes. Now, but the thing that we really wanted to say to you, so let's say, for example, that you're moving through a day, through life, through a day, and you feel quite good. You feel happy. You're appreciating things. You physically feel good. You're feeling your strength and your clarity and some eagerness for this and that and this and that. You're just having a good day. And someone comes into your experience, and let's say that it's someone you've known, someone who comes frequently, someone you live with, or someone that you work with, someone that it doesn't feel to you like is there because of your choosing, or even because of law of attraction. It feels to you like they just got dumped in your life and you wish they hadn't.
Yeah.
But there they are, and now your happiness is kind of conditional on what's happening. And now that they're there with whatever they're doing, their negative comments, or their snarkiness, or their negative looks, or whatever, doesn't matter what they are doing that you are responding to, you don't like it. But you've accepted that you're the creator of your own reality. And you've accepted that you get what you think about. And so you've accepted that there's something mutual in this that you intend away. And so you start doing the work. Even though it's there, you decide you're not going to let it get your goat or yank your chain or ring your bell. You're going to have pre-paved or gotten out ahead of it so that you presented yourself to the field of attraction in such a solid way that is not going to get you. And increasingly or decreasingly, things like that don't bother you so much. But let's say it did bother you, and so you did a process. You did a process where you looked for easy existing matches, or you did a process where you made a list of positive aspects. It's the same process, really. And you do that consistently. You decide you're going to feel good, and increasingly you do, no matter what. So you manage in a relatively short period of time, because it's easy when you get it. When you get it, it's easy. It is. And so you focus differently, and so now you're in a different vibrational place than that person, consistently. And the law of attraction honors the vibration of everyone and never puts things together that don't match. And you've shifted your vibration. So one of two things has to happen. Since you went off this way feeling better, now that other one is going to come with you that way, or because this person is shifting too, or law of attraction is going to cause this. And in either case, it's a wonderful thing. So sometimes people say, well, won't it be a lonely world? Just me and my inner being? And we say, you will really be pleased at how many people want to feel good. You'll really be pleased to notice how powerful. But the reason most people don't know this, the reason it isn't easy for most people yet, is because most people are not consistent about consistently feeling good. They feel good and then they don't, and they feel good and then they don't, and they feel good and then they don't. So life looks so confusing and complicated. But once you go after this for a little bit and feel good and feel good and feel good, and you start to notice that people that don't feel good just go someplace else. Even if you live with them, you find yourself zigging and zagging and zigging and zagging. Don't go looking for trouble. Don't go looking for trouble, because trouble can't find you if you're not looking for it. It just can't. Helpful?
Very.
Want to make it practical?
Yes. So an example would be at work. I'm feeling good. I'm talking to everyone, and I'm doing my best to see the positive aspects of the people that I do interact with. But then there are conversations where it's just moans, groans, and complaints about the things that have just gone wrong in the way that they're expressing themselves. And I find this to be something that's experienced just in general in the public areas that I find myself in. And so I tend to ask myself if what I'm listening to and paying attention to or tuning into with other people, if that is some sort of implication of myself, or if it's just something that I'm witnessing.
Both. It's what you're witnessing, but then it could be something that you're trying to fix. So something that is very helpful in a situation like that is to here's another bumper sticker. Self-interest is a real thing. And it's normal for people to be interested in their own receiving. And as you say in your own mind, you get to approach life in whatever way you choose, as do I, so that you don't fall into that trap of being competitive about what's the right attitude or what's the right way to live and so forth. So you're not defensive and pushing against. So your own vibration is softer and more allowing. Then you'll hear yourself saying something. So let's say you're feeling pretty good, and now there's a conversation at work where a bunch of people are really complaining about something that maybe you've felt it a little bit, but you don't want to say it out loud, and you don't want to exaggerate or promote it, and you don't want to be known as a complainer, but you and so you might find yourself, because you're more in alignment, you might find yourself saying, I get that, I get how you feel that way.
That's it.
I get how you feel that way. In other words, you're not pushing against them, you're understanding them, and you're giving them the right to feel that way. And but you're not compounding it by saying, and I feel that way too, and we need to do something about it, and we should gather together in bigger groups and let people know that we're not going to stand for this. That's not going to go well for any of you. But it is helpful for you to be exposed to the contrast to help you launch your rockets of desire with more clarity about what you want. It's not wrong to want to step into the shade when the sun is hot. It's not wrong for people to want relief from the oppression that they feel. Everyone wants relief from the oppression that they feel. You just want to demonstrate through the clarity of your example that you're not oppressed.
It's very lonely.
Well, and you don't want to put on a superhero costume either, because that's annoying. Unless you're 3. So now we've come upon something really important. The subject has changed a little bit. It's lonely. It's lonely not to commiserate with the dominant complaining forces. That's kind of what you said.
Yes.
Or is it? In other words, if I'm not commiserating with them, who am I commiserating with? My inner being. My inner being who really likes me and who really likes them. My inner being who's advocating for both of us. My inner being who understands that there's not a competition. My inner being who understands that everybody can thrive if they want to. My inner being who's always optimistic for all of us. And so my intention is to be as much like my inner being as I can be without annoying anybody. Well, think about it. Because if you come on too strong, oh yeah, well, look at you. In other words, they're just going to defend their position against you. Exactly. But if you're soft about it, in other words, if you haven't decided that the cactus can't be moved, or that it's wrong to move it, then you're going to turn a corner and know exactly how to go about it. And that's what will happen in your world. As you're in your own mind, give those guys permission to complain, and even acknowledge that maybe they've got something worth complaining about. But then on top of that say, but complaining never gets me anywhere, so I'm not going to do it. So I'm not pushing against you guys that are complaining. I'm just listening here. And if someone says something to you like, well, you're either with us or you're against us, say, I'm with you. I'm always with you. I'm never going to be against you guys. Not meaning I'm going to take up the battle with you, meaning I care about you. One day we were visiting with a mother who had an adult son who she was really worried about. He was struggling and unhappy, and it was vivid and quite extreme. And so we talked to her about a lot of the things that we've talked about here today. And she said, oh, Abraham, my son will feel like I have forsaken him if I were to say those things to him. And we said, no one would feel forgotten or not thought about or forsaken. if you could help them to understand that when they know what they don't want, they know what they do want, and you are sure with them focusing on what they do want. And when they are mistreated and deserve something better, you are sure with them in getting something better. In other words, if you can just in your own mind say to yourself about these guys or anybody, I want to treat them like their inner being does, we promise you that the reason they feel so bad is because their inner being won't go over there and complain with them. Esther has been after us many times over that. Abraham, if you would just agree with me, I wouldn't feel so bad. You're not laughing, but we're not ever going to join Esther in pushing against something. And if she chooses to push against it, then she's pushing against us without us, and without us, she doesn't feel very good. You see? And so you kind of have to make a choice. Who am I? Oh, here it is. Another bumper sticker. Boy, your cars are going to look bad. Don't buy any of these bumper stickers. Am I going to calibrate to my human friends who are often complaining? Or am I going to calibrate to my inner being? And what's the difference? They're focused in opposition to what they want and what I want. My inner being is focused in the direction of what we all want. And mostly, just take it easy. This is the most profound and powerful thing that we could say to any of you. We're making too much of a big, hairy deal about all of this. In other words, you don't have to understand the laws of the universe, and you don't have to teach them to other people. You don't have to compare the law of attraction to the law of gravity and then go on for hours in order to get somebody to kind of go along with you. You don't have to do that. You just have to want to feel good and think thoughts that do. You just have to want to feel good and think thoughts that do. And when you want to feel good and think thoughts that do, before you know it, you'll be surrounded by so many people that want to feel good and think thoughts that do. You just will. And when somebody shows up that wants to feel good but thinks thoughts that don't, you don't say, if somebody's just learning to walk, and they fall down, you don't say, get up, you little dummy. Instead, you might help them up or expect them up. You know that they're going to figure it out in time. And you just be glad that you're walking already, that you're not still falling down. But yes. Yeah, it's fun, isn't it? It's fun to be in the world with others who help you to clarify what you want. And it's fun to be in the world with others who help you to realize who you are. And it's fun to be in the world and gain your sea legs. And it's fun to have a new thought that feels foreign and focus on it until it doesn't feel foreign and then watch it manifest. It's fun to be an outlier in a world that's mostly offering most of their vibration in response to what they're observing. It's fun to be a visionary. It's fun to be looking forward. It's fun to connect with your source. It's fun to be powerful and stable. It's fun to be a leader, but it's also fun to be compassionate to those who haven't figured it out yet. And what compassion is looking at something through the eyes of source. We've been saying for a while, and we're going to take a segment of refreshment here. We've been saying for a while that the creative process is step one, ask, and life helps you to do that. And step two is answer, and source will answer right away. That's that vortex thing that we talk about all the time. And step three is then you allowing what you're asking for, so you let it in. Step three is that. Step four is getting good at that. It's kind of a mastery of that. That's what step four is, being really good at it. We would call you there. We think you've got this, and we think you apply it mostly. And step five is looking at something that makes you feel some negative emotion for a minute, and then catching yourself and holding your own positive tone anyway. Step five is negative emotion being seen by you as a helpful thing, not a warning bell or not a sign that something has gone wrong, but as guidance that you know what to do. And so and when you get there, then the complaining ones don't bother you at all, because you've been there yourself and you understand it. And you want them to feel better, but this might not be the path of least resistance where you could possibly say anything that would help them feel better. In fact, you're almost in the place that whether you say something or not, they're not going to feel better.
Yeah.
So, and maybe if you say something, they're going to take it wrong, so sometimes, so as you present yourself to the field of so try this. As you're on your way to work, thinking about being there, think about entering the field, the segment where the field of attraction is operating, and think of yourself as presenting yourself as someone who likes life and likes them too, no matter what. I like these guys. I want to present myself in that way. I like you, and you get to choose what you're doing, and I won't hold any of it against you. I like you. And watch what happens. When you present yourself to the field of attraction feeling like that, if your marbles don't match, they won't engage with you. And if you're not pushing against them, they won't engage with you. In other words, if you're on a different vibrational wavelength, they won't engage with you. And when you like them, see, they're not liking themselves. That's why they're behaving like that.
Right.
But when you like them, they won't engage with you. They say, hey, don't you have anything to say to me? Yeah, I'm just thinking how much I like you. They'll say,
Yes.
yeah.
I appreciate it very much.
Really good. Good time for a segment of refreshment.